Hi, I'm Beth Wagner, one of the General Assembly Teaching Elder Commissioners. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be your representative at this year's rather unique General Assembly. I'd like to share a bit of my impressions about this virtual General Assembly, a first in so many ways. I must tell you that technically, this General Assembly appeared to be flawless. Zoom worked perfectly for over 800 representatives. We did get Zoom training, and we learned how to log in and vote and all of those important things ahead of time. It was very impressive. PCBiz, the Presbyterian application, was great. Each time we gathered, it got better. Folks kept adding features to help a commissioner do a job better, and we were able to vote right there in virtual space. Behind the scenes, the help desk and parliamentarians worked to keep us going. I would say it was a technical wonder. What was missing was the part of General Assembly that doesn't happen on the floor of General Assembly. It happens in lunches and dinners in the marketplace, during committee meetings where commissioners meet other commissioners, make new friends, renew old acquaintances. The questions we would have asked each other as commissioners. It was hard, even with us messaging and emailing each other. What didn't happen was getting a feel for the movement of the Holy Spirit as people spoke to motions and made amendments. That was simply impossible when you have 30 screens of folks. And the work we did, it was really just the tip of what you normally would have done. Many of us would have liked to have done more. While I expected to be exhausted from late night debate, I was exhausted, but not because of the lateness of the evening, but that Zooming hour after hour is exhausting. I was so thankful for the Presbytery gift of a Grubhub gift certificate. I was able to eat and snack and still attend to the business of General Assembly. So thank you, Presbytery of Chicago. Being first is sometimes interesting. I was proud of what we accomplished this year in this year of a pandemic, in that we kept everyone safe and healthy. And we did the work of the church. My hope is that we will not have to do a GA Zoom like this one, but we will have learned about technology and the ability to do business even when we are challenged to think outside the box and to do it differently. It is amazing what we put together in a few short months. Imagine what we could do with that knowledge for the future. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Hope Daniels, elder at Fourth Presbyterian Church, and I'm grateful to have been selected by the Presbytery of Chicago to serve as a voting commissioner for the 224th PCUSA General Assembly with the theme From Lament to Hope. In February, PCUSA appointed me to serve as vice moderator for Committee 12, Theology and Worship. With COVID-19, the in-person GA in Baltimore was canceled and everything went online. With the moderator of Committee 12, we conducted a peer review of the Synod of the Sun, and we facilitated a pre-GA small group meeting to welcome, introduce, and lift up over 50 of the commissioners in prayer. The moderators and vice moderators of all the committees were placed in Committee 1, the Business and Referrals Committee, and it became the sole committee for the GA per PCUSA Standing Rule C1D. We had amazing parliamentarians. Members of the new Business Referrals Committee completed several online leadership briefings and tech trainings, and working with the Committee on the Office of the General Assembly, we reviewed and voted on the scope of work and the docket for the GA. We agreed to take on a limited number of items during this extraordinary GA and referred much of the work on the reports until the next GA in 2022. We did this because an online GA precluded the discussion and discernment that's normally done in person in the various committees, and believe me, this was a hard decision to make. We also provided input into the very thoughtful motion responding to the sin of racism and a call to action, which can be found on the PCUSA website. It was a remarkable experience to participate in this challenging yet historic General Assembly. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Reverend Stewart BarnesJameson, currently serving as Major and Plan Giving Officer at Fourth Presbyterian Church of Chicago. It was indeed an honor for me to serve the Presbytery of Chicago as a teaching elder commissioner to the 224th General Assembly. As I share my experience at this year's General Assembly, I want to begin by pointing out that I was the Presbytery's only white male delegate to this year's assembly, and some of my remarks will certainly be from that perspective. I was proud to be a part of such a diverse, gifted, skilled, intelligent group of Christians representing our presbytery in the city of Chicago in a time such as this. I want to focus my observations on the document we passed entitled On the Church in This Moment in History, which made a powerful statement in support of the Black Lives Matter movement and its implications. While this is my first ever General Assembly, my only other experience in a national denomination was in the past when I was served as observer to a General Synod meeting with the United Church of Christ back in Fort Worth, Texas, back in 1991 when my wife was a delegate. It was my experience of that gathering that many of the resolutions discussed on the floor of the UCC's General Assembly way back then were way ahead of where the Presbyterian Church was at that time. Some of them were even ahead of where we Presbyterians are now. While I appreciate the denominations like the United Church of Christ being so prophetic, my experience is that although we may come around a little late, when Presbyterians make a statement, it means something. Case in point for me is right around the time we approved same-sex marriage. Other barriers seem to come down across the country, first as some states and then the Supreme Court also approved same-sex marriage at about the same time. Therefore, I believe that when a denomination made up mostly of people who look and think a lot like me, and are as invested in the benefits of white privilege as I am, when we make a statement, such as the 224th General Assembly did in support of Black lives, it really means something. Therefore, my hope is that this will once again be a time of sea change for not only the Presbyterian Church, but the whole country. Thank you again for the opportunity to serve the Presbytery of Chicago as a delegate to General Assembly.
Hello everyone, my name is Michael Miller. I am a teaching elder and I was selected by you to be a commissioner to the 224th General Assembly. I'm also the pastor of Next Ministries, a new church development here in the Presbytery of Chicago. Part of my role today is to share with you what happened financially with the national church. There was a decision made to look at operations for the next 2 years at $80 and $83 million respectively to handle the operations of the national church. While that seems like a lot of money, there was also a decision that was made to cut about $16 million out of the budget because of certain losses that we've had due to investments. The other thing that you need to be aware of is that while the per capita is going up slightly, it is very slight because they understand and we understand the issues of the pandemic and what they are having on churches, the presbyteries and the synods. And so there were decisions that were made financially that were good decisions and some not so good decisions. One of the things that the General Assembly has responsibility for as commissioners, we have the responsibility of overseeing everything until the next General Assembly. There were a lot of things that were left on the table that we did not get to that were considered to be critical items. And so the commissioners voted, rather than to be called back to meet and make decisions on these things, to turn over the responsibilities of any budgetary changes or budgetary needs to two boards and one committee. And so these two boards and committees will be making decisions and adjustments leading into the 225th General Assembly. While I appreciate so much your confidence and support in me and all of those that serve as commissioners, we need to understand that our church has great needs right now. And part of those needs are not only financial, but in terms of our growth. And so we need to look to the future and look to God as our hope to help lead us into the next generation of church, which we are all doing now virtually. So God bless you, and I thank you for allowing me to serve as one of your commissioners.
Having represented Chicago Presbytery as a commissioner in 2018, I was thrilled that my position last year as moderator-elect gave me the opportunity to attend GA in 2020 for the second time. I was really looking forward to the committee work, the plenary sessions, the awesome worship, and getting to meet in person the candidates for co-moderators. It's a little harder learning about someone just from reading about them, but I did the best I could with the information that was made available. One thing I noticed right away was the emphasis on diversity among the 3 teams of candidates. They included a black man, a Korean man, an openly gay man, an indigenous woman, and 2 white women. I was intrigued also by the way each team was not only diverse according to gender, but geographically as well. The candidates' backgrounds also were interesting. A former lawyer, a former science teacher, a retired psychologist with a PhD who researched and taught neuroscience, a consultant with 2 master's degrees, all of whom served the church in a number of ways. Each candidate would have brought a unique perspective to the position of co-moderator, and I'll admit to wishing, at least at one time, that I could vote for 2 individuals rather than for just one team. In the end, it was no contest, though, as ruling elder Ilona Stewart and teaching elder Gregory Bentley won on the very first vote. Ilona is the executive of the Synod of the Lakes and Prairies in Minnesota, and she's a member of the Delaware Nanticoke tribe and known for her work in diversity and inclusion. Gregory is pastor of Fellowship Presbyterian Church in Huntsville, Alabama, which was established in 1959 as a congregation for African Americans by the Presbytery of North Alabama. He's their 5th pastor. Together, the co-moderators have chosen as their theme, learning from the past, living in the present, looking to the future. The 2 have chosen a logo that ties together Native American and African heritage. For indigenous people, the river that connects and binds the United States together, the Mississippi, is sacred and life-giving. In African heritage, the Sankofa bird looks back to see forward, symbolic of the wisdom in learning from the past to ensure a strong future. I have to say that I am thrilled that we elected moderators who represent diversity. I am disappointed, however, that this diversity was not more evident among the commissioners themselves. Nearly 80% were white, and some of them blatantly demonstrated their white privilege during the plenary sessions. It is my hope, though, that this election is a first step in learning from our past, acknowledging our present, and moving into a future where systemic racism is dismantled.